everyone! So I had a request to make a video about everything that we know about the Resident Evil 2 remake so far, and since I'm so excited and I've been gathering information up, I figured I would go ahead and I said, that sounds like a good idea. Let's go ahead and put that in a video. These are just what I've gathered from interviews and watching demos of the game, what we know so far. So the big thing that everyone was concerned about going into this remake was the camera angle, and unfortunately for those who love the original remake so much, this is an over-the-shoulder camera. It has been confirmed. They have said that they chose this for specific reasons, and I know a lot of people are not happy about this, and we'll get to that later. But from what I've seen of the game, I understand why it's over the shoulder, but I also think that there's a possibility that in the future they could possibly release DLC, or it's something that unlocks after the game. But right now it's over the shoulder, and before you go jumping to conclusions, watch the videos and see what it looks like, because it does not look super actiony. It is confirmed also that there is going to be a Leon and a Claire campaign. There were rumors when the game was first announced that it was only going to be one or the other. Don't know yet if there's going to be a Leon A and a Claire A and a Leon B and a Claire B, but I would assume that there's only going to be one of each, because as much as I like Resident Evil 2, it is a little weird canon-wise that there's two versions of the campaign. And that goes into the next thing, because it looks like it's Leon A, Claire B, which was not what was originally what was supposed to be canon. So that's interesting, but we'll just have to see how this works out, because honestly I don't really see too many issues with that going into the later games. I think Ada's role is a little more expanded in Leon B, so I think they'll probably just add more of that into this, and they'll probably do a good job of combining the scenarios, I think. Mr. X is shown with Claire in the trailer, so that would confirm that, and it also confirms that he is in the game, so that's good. So which also pretty much confirms that there are two scenarios. There's a synopsis at the beginning of the demo, and it sounds exactly like the beginning of Resident Evil 2, where Leon makes a stop at a gas station, and he's running late, and then he runs into Claire, and they come into town, and they get separated because of an accident. And that's exactly what happens in the beginning of Resident Evil 2, so that's good. There's going to be some expanded roles and expanded cutscenes, and hopefully more story dynamics in this game, similar to Lisa being added into the remake. Marvin's going to play a much larger role in this version. He kind of helps Leon out, at least in the beginning, because if you know Resident Evil 2, he's bit by a zombie. But also in Resident Evil 2, he's not in it much, so it makes sense. The RPD is expanded, and there are bathrooms, which I never noticed there weren't, apparently, in Resident Evil 2. Because I know there's a couple bathrooms in the original game, at least from what I remember. I know there's definitely the one where you, like, pull the plug and the zombie comes out. So, yeah, I never noticed that in Resident Evil 2 there were not bathrooms. So, good to know. Everyone's freaking out that there are bathrooms in RPD. Yeah, there's been a few scenes that we've seen from this demo that are added. And the floors and layout of the police station have been changed. But that also happened in Remake as well, because I went back and tried to play the original game after playing Remake, because I started with Remake and I didn't know where anything was. So, I mean, it makes sense. The game is still set in 1998. Thank goodness they didn't jump forward in time or anything, considering it's a remake. And they said they really tried to make, like when you're on the computer, they tried to make that look like it's from 1998 and the footage and stuff, so that's good. Looks like item boxes are back. Also great. One thing I'm not a big fan of is there's arrows that tell you where items are. That's definitely more of a newer game mechanic, where I like in older games where you have to search for items. Now I'm not sure if this is how it's going to be for all items. You might have to search for specific items and whatnot, but from the items that they shown in the demo, it's definitely, hey look, here's an arrow, here, come pick this up. And I'm not a huge fan of that, but whatever. The inventory is limited, which I enjoy, but you can expand the inventory. So in the demo they show you pick up a hip pouch, and that increases your inventory from 8 to 2, or from 8 to 10, sorry, 8 by 2 I meant to say. And which is great, especially being a more action game. It looks like there's a lot more zombies in this, and but the zombies are slow, so it's not super action heavy. But it's also annoying to play on Leon or Chris and have such a limited inventory, so I am not against that. Plus, having the hip pouch early on in the demo might just be a way of them showing how the inventory gets expanded. It doesn't mean that necessarily that's where it's going to be in the final game. I assume a lot of the things in the demo are going to be moved around and are there just for the purposes of the demo. We also have the original save name back. There's a pre-order bonus available if you pre-order. I think it's an enhanced edition or something. I didn't look that up beforehand, but you get the Samurai Edge, I think. Is it the Samurai Edge? I don't remember. You get 2 gun unlocks, one that represents Chris, one that represents Jill, and then you get a bunch of costumes for Leon and Claire, and you can also have the original soundtrack available. So I know I'm probably gonna pre-order that version just because I might just pre-order the special edition versions of this game, whatever there are, just so I can have them. One thing that I really like is that you can only use healing items in the inventory. I'm sure there's a lot of people that enjoyed being able to use healing items out of the inventory from like Resident Evil 5 and 6 and 7. I tell you what, I cannot tell you how many times in Resident Evil 6 and Resident Evil 7 I accidentally used a healing item, because I just don't play those games enough, so I'm hitting random buttons and hit the wrong button thinking I'm reloading, and all I've healed and used up a healing item that I desperately needed, especially in Resident Evil 7. So yeah, so I'm happy about that. Also, the game pauses when you're in the menu, which is great. Another throwback to the older games. I hated in Resident Evil 5 when they started making it so when you were in the menu that it was still, everything else was still going on around you. I know they did that because it was co-op and they didn't want you to like pause and make your partner pause, but there should have been a little leeway that maybe it paused if you're playing on single player, because your partner sucks in Resident Evil 5 if you're not playing co-op. One nice thing too is that if you pick up an item that you can combine, like if your inventory's full but you have a red herb and you pick up a green herb, you can combine those without having to add them into the inventory. So that's great. There also are gunpowders that you can pick up and combine to make more ammo. That's more of a thing from Resident Evil 3, but it's in this game, so that's cool. One thing that I think brings back the over-the-shoulder camera is that a lot of these areas are dark, like pitch darkness. You cannot see without a flashlight. So when you're in a dark area, Leon, at least in the demo, will move the flashlight around, and as you walk, like he aims the flashlight in the area that you're going, so you can see enemies. So it just adds to the mysterious feel, and it makes sense that they're losing power. There's power in certain areas of the RPD, but not all of it. So just again to add to the creepy factor. You can put boards over windows You see them randomly laying about, and if you see a zombie knocking out a window, you can put a board up. I don't know if those boards just slow down the zombies, or if they can be used once you put it up, then you're safe infinitely. Not sure about that, but we'll just have to wait and see. From what I've seen of the demo, there are a lot of puzzles, which again is great. Definitely an improvement over the more action-oriented Resident Evils. Even as much as I love Resident Evil 4, there's hardly any puzzles, and the puzzles that are in Resident Evil 4 are super easy. But this is a lot more of, oh, you go up to the statue and there's a combination, but you don't know what the combination is, so you gotta come back to it. Oh, look, I found a journal, it tells me what to do. This thing's locked, I have to go find a key somewhere else. That's very much old school Resident Evil, so loving that. One thing that's a big change are the zombies are very tanky, and I know we've become used to zombies not being that way, that you shoot them in the head and they die, and that's not the case here. Also, once they're down, like in Remake, you shoot a zombie enough times and they fall on the ground, and if there's not a pool of blood, they're not dead. This game does not do that, so you don't know if the zombies are dead. You can shoot a zombie, it will lay on the ground and seem like it's dead for a long time, leave the room, come back later, and the zombie will get back up. It can be very scary. I saw it happen in one of the demos, and the zombie like let out this scream, and it sounded like a baby screaming. I'm like, what was that? And it was a zombie getting back up. The zombies can also move room to room because there's no load screens. There's no like door loading screens like there are in Remake. Even in Remake, the doors were just there for effect and reminiscence of the original game. I liked them in Remake, but they can be completely removed because most of the mansion loads on its own anyway. So that's interesting. Though the headshots don't kill zombies, but if you do a shotgun to the head, it can possibly kill the zombie. In the demo, there was also a thing where I saw where someone blew off half of the head instead of blowing off the whole head, and the zombie just kept being super tanky. So I'm not really sure what having half the head like did much damage to the zombie, but he had half of his head. So a lot of stuff we'll just have to wait and see till once we get in the game and start playing it for ourselves. But I think this is also kind of like they wanted to make the zombies more menacing, which I approve of. And like Resident Evil 4 and 5, there's so many enemies coming at you at once, so of course you're headshotting the enemies to take them out so you don't have 50 coming at you. Where this is 1 or 2 in a room, so they're coming at you more slowly. So having the headshots not instantly kill them, I think it works much better. And again, in the original games, every once in a while you would get a headshot that would explode their head from a distance. You could aim with the shotgun and your handgun once you were closer to them, but you couldn't shoot them from across the room in the head. I think that would just make the game too easy if you could snipe zombies from across the room before they even notice you're there. So I am perfectly fine with that. They changed the combat knife. The combat knife, I can talk, so that it's more of a defensive item like you find in Remake, how you find the little daggers. In Remake though, you do also have a knife that you can slash and stab zombies that way. As far as I know, at least in the demo, there's no such knife like that. It's only the combat knife, which you can hit with a zombie when they're close to you. Once you down the zombie, you can actually pick the combat knife back up, and you can continue to do this until the knife eventually breaks. But there are multiple knives that you can find, so it's not just the one knife like in the original game. This game also runs on the Resident Evil engine, which is the engine that was used for Resident Evil 7, so it's pretty, and I think it's prettier than Resident Evil 7. I also prefer, as much as I did enjoy Resident Evil 7, I prefer at least being able to see my character. Because I got to the end of Resident Evil 7, I'm like, I don't even know what Ethan looks like. You kind of can tell at one point what his face looks like, but not much. So I definitely approve of at least the over-the-shoulder camera angles. So I want to address some of the concerns that I've seen people address going into this game, and what I feel about these concerns. People are afraid it's going to be too much like Resident Evil 4, 5, 6, 7, and not so much like the older games. In terms of that, I feel like 7 was definitely much more of a lean towards the original games. Yes, it's first person, so I guess that feels a little more action-y, but it was also much more horror focused than at least 5 and 6. Resident Evil 4 has some horror, but not nearly as much as the older games. So Resident Evil 7 I thought was much more of a return to the horror style. So I wasn't really too worried about that. But in the fact that a lot of people are worried that it's going to be more action-based because of the over-the-shoulder camera. Being that you are exploring and the zombies are more tanky and there are going to be surprises like in the original game, I think it's going to definitely slow down the pace. But in all Resident Evils, the farther you get into the game and the more ammo and guns you have available, the less slow the game becomes and the quicker pace it picks up because you can just blow through a lot of enemies. But I think it's definitely going to be more of a survival horror game than the older, or not older, than say like 5 and 6 are. A lot of people are angry also that it's not like Remake. When they asked what do people want from this game, people said we want Remake, but again, the part of the problem is that Shinji Mikami, who is the original creator of Resident Evil, also made Resident Evil Remake. He's not around anymore. So Capcom was okay with making Resident Evil 2 Remake, but they wanted to reinvigorate it. So where Remake is more just a remake of the original, this is kind of more of a reimagining of Resident Evil 2, but everything I've seen so far, the RPD is pretty much the same, the enemies are the same, the characters are the same, like yeah, they look a little different, but for the most part the game is the same so far. There's definitely a lot of changes to it, but the base game itself is the same. So I'm not too concerned about that, and I just say to people that are not happy that it's not like Remake, I understand. I was not happy when I found out that it was over the shoulder, but the more that I see of the game, the happier I am with it. So not that big of a deal. To me, I'd say just give the game a chance, look at the demo, look at what a lot of people have said about it that are big Resident Evil fans, and just keep an open mind. Also, a lot of people are angry that the voice actors have been recast, and there's a couple things I have to say to that. Resident Evil is notorious for replacing their voice actors. The voice actors that stayed around the longest were actually Claire's voice actress and Ada's, and both of those got replaced in the more recent games. So I kind of expected it. Every time I go into a new Resident Evil game, I just assume that it's going to be a new voice actor or voice actress. I don't even know if Jill's ever had the same voice actress. And a lot of people are angry that the characters look different. Like Claire looks very different. Leon pretty much looks the same. But again, like whatever, it's happened before. They do it all the time. Look at Jill in the first Revelations game compared to what she looks like in Resident Evil 5. She looks completely different, and she looks so angry in Revelations. I do not like how she looks in Revelations at all. But at least as Claire, she's still cute, like she's still young. So, and that's another thing too, is that the game originally came out in 1998, which was 20 years ago. So these people that did the voices back then, they've aged 20 years. Leon's supposed to be 19 years old, and Claire's right around that too, or 18. Leon's supposed to be 18. But Claire's right around that too. I think she's supposed to be even younger. I think she might be 17. So, I mean, these characters are young. We don't need people in their 40s and 50s doing their voices. I've seen also a lot of backlash that Matt Mercer is not returning for Leon, and people are so upset that he's not returning for Leon, not remembering that he's only played Leon for like the last 4 things, which is like Resident Evil 5, 2 of the movies, and a small role in Revelations 2. I mean, he hasn't been Leon for forever. He replaced the original guy, so, which was like Paul Mercier or something, unless it was Matt Mercer and he's changed his name, because their names are pretty close, but everything I see is that they're different people, so I don't know. But he's not Leon's voice actor forever, just more recently. And on top of that, he's not even Leon's original voice actor. It was someone completely different in Resident Evil 2. So just chill out with the fact that they've changed the voice actors. It happens all the time in Resident Evil. I mean, we're not talking about them replacing David Hayter for Snake or something. Like, this is just what Resident Evil does. So, yeah. So anyway, those are all the things that I know about Resident Evil 2 Remake. I think I got everything on my list. I was kind of skimming over it as I was talking, so I hope I didn't miss anything. Did I say we have item boxes? I don't know if I said that. There are item boxes, which is cool. Yeah, I'm excited about that. So, anyway, let me know in the comments if you have any other concerns or questions, and I'll try to let you know what I know about the game, what I know so far, and if I don't know, I'll tell you. But yeah, so thanks for watching this video, guys, and I'll talk to you later.